So to start this lesson, I asked students to make a horizon line about 2 to 3 inches down from the top of the paper. And horizon line means the ruler is horizontal. And I know it's horizontal because it's parallel to the top of the paper. So in this unit, being able to have horizontal lines and vertical lines and parallel lines are very important. Then I asked you to put a vanishing point somewhere on the horizon line. That's a little dot, and that means any lines that travel away from us are going to converge to that dot. And we learned that that dot is our center of vision, which is right between your eyes. So anything above your head will look like it's up here. Anything below your head will look like it's down here. Anything that's directly in front of you will be even with the horizon line or right in front of your vanishing point. Now, to progress our exercise, I asked all students to make a 4-inch horizontal line about 2.5 inches down, give or take, right below the vanishing point. So I'm starting at the 0, drawing to the 4, and then I asked all the students to start off by making a dot every 1 inch, like that. So I have a 4-inch line with a dot every 1 inch. And then we connect each of these points to the vanishing point. Now the ruler strategy is to use the pivot method. You put your pencil right on a dot, now with some weight. Now I can, light as a feather, pivot the ruler. So I pivot the ruler to the vanishing point. Now on my left hand, I shift my weight to the ruler so it doesn't move. And then I just drag a gentle line to the vanishing point. And then I go to the next point, pivot to the vanishing point, shift my weight, and you can see this starts to go fast. Another way is pivot from the vanishing point, like this. Do that, then I jump back up there, pivot to the next spot, draw that, jump back up there, pivot to the next spot, and you can see how quickly and efficiently we can draw lines with linear perspective. And these could be like highways, these could be swimming pool lanes, these could be tracks on a racetrack. It could be whatever you want that's going forever as far as you can see. Now, one thing we did also is we added a little thin rectangle off of this. And what this thin rectangle does is it creates a front surface and implies thickness. So this is the front and this is the top, and it's going on forever as far as we can see. Now, what I want to do right now to progress this lesson is I want to turn this into a grid. Would you guys agree that I need some horizontal lines to make this look like a grid or a checkerboard? So the question is, with linear perspective, where exactly do you put those lines? So we're going to do a little trick that they do in scientific linear perspective, and it involves on the horizon line going out here to the side, and let's put a second point out here on the horizon line. And these lines we're about to make, let's make them really light because they're going to be erased, okay? They're called guidelines. So what I'll do is I'll go to this corner right here, and I'm going to aim it to that other point, shift my weight on the ruler so it doesn't move, and pull a gentle light line. You see? Then I'll go to the next point right here and do the same. I got to go to this vanishing point out there, that second point. Then I'll go to this one. Try to be very accurate. Accuracy really helps. Then I go to this one, same thing. And then this is where I'm going to pause, all right? If you have made all of these lines going to that point, something interesting just happened. There is a first intersection point here, and here, here, and here. Do you see them there? Now, if I line my ruler up, that indicates where I would put my first horizontal line. But we need the ruler to be horizontal, and this from here to here would be my first line on the grid. Once you've made that, now go one step back. Look at this one, and this one. Now mine don't line up perfectly. You can see they make my ruler crooked, so I'm going to just adjust my ruler so it's straight. And that tells me exactly where the second line would go. Now when I go one step back, I have two intersection points here and here. And I can line my ruler up to those 2 points, and that would be my next line. And then finally, there's one last intersection point right here. And I pivot off of that one, make sure my ruler is horizontal. And that would be my third one. I'll zoom out a little bit so that we get more full context. So this is technically how you do a grid with scientific linear perspective. All right, so now what you can do here is you can erase the leftover orthogonal lines. The leftover orthogonal lines here. Okay, now we're going to create a series of boxes together. I have this cardboard box. When it's right in front of you like this, you can't see the top or the bottom or the left or the right because it's right in front of our center of vision. Now, if it were lower, right, you'd see the top, or if it were higher, you'd see the bottom, right? The first box we're going to draw is going to be right in front of us. And the way you do it is you make a rectangle surrounding your vanishing point. Now, rectangles have 90-degree angles. The top and bottom lines are horizontal, parallel to the horizon line and the top of the paper. The sides are vertical. They're parallel to one another. They're perpendicular to the horizon line, and they're parallel to the right side of the paper. Okay? So this is the side of a box that's facing us, and it's directly in front of us. If I can't see through the box, I could erase the horizon line, and guess what? That's the easiest box in the world, isn't it? Now, let's make a box that's directly above it, above our head. And the way we'll do that is we will make another rectangle, and it needs to be above your vanishing point, okay? Just like I'm doing. The rectangle could be a little smaller, it could be the same size, it could be a tiny bit bigger. Kind of depends on how much room you have. But would you guys agree that if the box is above our head, wouldn't we see the underside of it? I'm going to put my pencil on these two corners. So I'll put it on this corner, pivot my ruler to the vanishing point, and then draw to the vanishing point. Now, I don't want to go over this box, so I'll just underlap it right there. Then I go to the other corner, and I draw toward the vanishing point. I'll stop there. And what this does is it creates the illusion of a box that's basically going on forever as far as I can see. However, I don't want it to go on forever as far as I can see. I want it to look more like a normal sized box that's just up in the air. So what I'm going to do is add what I call a cutoff line. I'm going to make sure my ruler is parallel to that line. Now, if I put the cutoff line here, it's going to be a longer box. If I put it right here, it's going to be a very thin box, maybe like a thickness of a sign or something like that, right? If I move it maybe about here, it might look a little bit more traditional. So I think I'll put my horizontal cutoff line right here. When you do this, though, look at your whole ruler compared to this line, and are you sure that your ruler is parallel? And if you are, make your line. I'll move my ruler away, and then I'll erase my leftover orthogonal lines. And there we have a box that's floating above our heads. We can see the front of it and we can see the underside of it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here for more context. All right, so next, let's make another box directly to the left of this box in the middle. I'm going to move over here to the side, and I'm going to make another rectangle proper that overlaps my horizon line. Again, remember, sides are vertical, top and bottom are horizontal. Angles are 90-degree angles. So again, we have drawn the front of the box that's facing us first. I can't see through it, so I'll erase my leftover horizon line there. And in order to make this rectangle into a 3D box, I'm going to use the vanishing point again. So I would see this side of the box, so I'll take this lower corner, aim it exactly at the vanishing point. I'm going to fade off this time because I know I'm going to cut it off, so why draw all the way, right? Then I'll go to this corner, pivot to the vanishing point, make that orthogonal line. And then this cutoff line corresponds to this vertical edge. I'll just use the thickness of my ruler to make a parallel cutoff line. Once I made that cutoff line, I can erase my leftover orthogonal lines. And then I can't see the horizon line through it, so I'll erase that. And that completes that box on my left. So we've made some boxes so far. One is right in front of us. One is facing us but above our head. One is facing us but to our left. Let's make a box down here to the lower left of the paper. So somewhere down there, make a square or a rectangle. And you should be good at this by now because we've been making these for this whole lesson, right? This one's going to be a little bit different because look, if it's down and to our left, we would see the top of it and the side of it, right? Now, these three corners have a visible path to the vanishing point. So I put my pencil on the corner, pivot to the vanishing point right there, and then I can draw that line. Then I go to the next corner, pivot to the vanishing point, and draw that line. Now, if you crash into something, just underlap underneath it, like that. All right, so listen, if I made these lines go all the way to the vanishing point, that's what the box would look like if it were going on forever as far as I can see, right? But I didn't because I know I want to cut it off. But cutting this one off isn't as simple as the other two boxes. The other two boxes only had one side to address. This one has two sides. So what you want to do is you want to cut off either the side or the top first. You pick, okay? Let's say I want to do the side here. I just make sure that this side is vertically parallel to this one. I can see through the ruler, so that's helpful. If I couldn't, maybe I would do it this way. Is my whole ruler parallel to that line? And if it is, I could draw there to there. And then what that does is wherever you put that line, it now indicates to you where is this top back corner. So I'm going to be drawing off of that point. I know that this top back corner corresponds to this front edge, which is horizontal. So I put my pencil on that corner, and I'm going to pivot my ruler so that my whole ruler looks parallel to this line. And then I can draw the cutoff line there to there. At that point, I could erase my leftover orthogonal lines. Like that. So let's make another box directly above on the upper left. So you may need to make this one a little smaller if you don't have as much room up there. And I'm doing this part fast because we have a lot of practice now making rectangles, don't we? And this one is exactly the same as the one that we just did, except just going to take each corner and aim at the same vanishing point, except now we're going downward toward it, aren't we? Like that. I'll go ahead and zoom in on this spot for us. Now remember, if I were to crash into something, I could underlap, or if I wanted it to go on forever as far as I can see, I would go all the way to the dot. But I want to cut it off, so that's why I didn't go all the way. So again, when you do the cutoff lines for this, you have to pick a side to do first. I could either do the underside first or the right side first, right? In this case, I'll do the underside first this time. So the rule is it's got to be horizontally parallel to that lower edge. So I'll pull off of it like that. And that looks good. And if I'm parallel, I could draw there to there. Wherever you do that, it now indicates where is this corner at, right here. So I will turn my ruler vertical parallel to this line at that corner. And that tells me where that cutoff line must go automatically. So by doing one cutoff line first, it tells you where the other one must go. Then I could erase my leftover orthogonal lines. Now we have a nice series of boxes. Check this out. Right now we have a box in front of us, a box above our head. This is technically a box below our head, right? We just have it's thinner and we have a grid on it. This box is to our left. This box is above our head and to our left. This box is below our head and to our left. So this is not just a drawing with a bunch of 3D boxes. This is the illusion that we're viewing all of these boxes from one single point of view. And check this out. Rotate your paper a quarter turn. And it changes everything, but it's all still correct. Rotate your paper upside down. It's still correct. It's still, now these look like they're above our heads, right? Rotate your paper again. However you rotate your paper, the illusion of linear perspective stays true in terms of the boxes making sense compared to our center of vision. All right, so now we're going to progress this drawing into a different direction, and it has to do with this rectangle right here. We said that this is a box directly in front of us, so we can only see one side. But what if we're inside the box? Essentially, that means we would be inside kind of a room, right? And if we were inside a room or inside a box, we could think of this as the back wall. But how do we make the walls? So everybody watch me do this before you do it. I'm going to put my pencil on each corner. So I'll start on this corner, and I'm going to pivot my ruler to the vanishing point exactly. However, instead of drawing to the vanishing point, I'm going to draw away from it. Then I'll go to the next corner right here. I aim exactly at the vanishing point, but instead of drawing to it, I draw away from it all the way off the paper. And I'm going to do that for all four corners. I aim each corner exactly at the vanishing point. That's very important. And draw away. Now, if I crash into something like this, I'll stop and I'll skip over and continue it on the other side. Then I go to my last corner here, aim it at the vanishing point precisely, and then draw away. And when you have done this properly, it creates the illusion that we're inside a box or we're inside a room. We have a floor, a ceiling, a wall on our left, and a wall on our right, and a back wall, and it all makes spatial sense and logical sense to the mind. All right, let's direct our attention to this wall. By the way, if this is a solid wall, I wouldn't really be able to see that horizon line, right? So I could erase it for now. We might bring it back later, but for now I could erase it. Okay, so we're going to look at this wall, And right now it's a boring flat wall that's going away from us toward the back of the room. But let's do a couple things to it. How about we add a corner that's poking out toward us right here. So this is where the wall meets the ceiling right here, and this is where the wall meets the floor right here. So I'll pick a spot, how about right there, and I'm gonna make a vertical line parallel to the side of the paper, and that's gonna be like a corner. Now, right now it doesn't look like a corner, it just looks like a line, a vertical line on the wall. But a really cool way to make it look like a corner is I'll take the bottom and top of the line, and I'll make a horizontal going off to the right, down there and up here, you see? Now, to help this illusion out, I could erase the rest of these orthogonal lines here. And now it looks like we have a flat part of the wall facing us, and then you turn a corner and start walking away toward the back wall. And we're gonna do all kinds of little things like this, and it's amazing that this happens just by adding a few key lines in a few key places. So what if I don't want this to just go off the paper? What if I want this to go in and then have another wall that's going using the vanishing point? So check this out. I'm gonna come in probably, how about right here? And then let's add another corner line. Now I'll take the top and bottom of these lines. Where last time I went horizontal, I'll go to the top of this line, aim it at the vanishing point, and draw away. And then I go to the bottom of the line, aim it at the vanishing point right over here, and draw away. Then I can erase these leftover horizontals. And now this looks a lot more different than just a basic wall, right? It's like I created a bit of a nook over here on the right side. This wall is going away from us, this wall is facing us, and then this part is going away from us. This part of the wall is facing us directly, so if there's a window on here, it's just gonna be straight, like a normal rectangular window shape. So let's put, just where you think it would look good, a nice sized rectangular window right on that part, okay? And remember, if it's facing us, you have 90-degree angles, like that. Now, a lot of windows have kind of a frame, right? Or, yeah, some framing around them. So you could put another rectangle border around it. And that creates the sense that it has a window frame. Now, in our picture, I want to put like something in the middle, right? But I want to put it exactly in the middle. Now, with this window, I could technically measure and divide by 2 and find the middle, right? But what if I couldn't measure? I just had a straight edge, but I couldn't measure. Tell me if this is true. If I were to go corner to corner and make a little light erasable line, and then I go corner to corner this way and make a light erasable line, it creates an X. Isn't that X the center of the window automatically?
Yeah.
That's true, right? So now that I know where the center is without having to do any measuring, how about right through, horizontally right through that X, I make a little double line. And just like that, so quickly, I could erase my X. I have divided the window into 2 parts. By the way, if you can see outside the window, wouldn't we maybe be able to see a horizon line? where the ground and the sky meet. So remember, our horizon line's going right through the vanishing point and it's horizontal. I could line my ruler back up to where that would be, and then I can reveal the horizon line out there. So I have a sky and a ground outside. Make sure that when you draw this, it actually corresponds with your real horizon line that you started with. Okay, so here's the thing. The windows that are straight, they're kind of easy because they're just normal windows. But if I want to put a window on this wall right here, it's a little bit different because the ceiling line and the floor line, they're orthogonal. They're going to the vanishing point, and the top and bottom of the window would be parallel to those, right? So I'll be using the vanishing point for the top and the bottom, and the sides are going to be vertical. However, let's take it another step further. What if I want this window on this wall to be the exact height and location as this window? I'm going to show you a way to do that. So if I line up to this top window right here with my pencil, and I go to the end, if I track it horizontally to the corner, it would hit right there, right? So from that point, I will aim at the vanishing point and make a guideline like that. And that would be where the top of the window lives, somewhere on that line. Now I go to the bottom of this window and I track it to the corner right here. I'll aim that at my vanishing point and draw a guideline. And that would be where the bottom of that window is going to live. So if I make a window within the boundaries of these two lines, I know that that window is the same height as this one. Now we said the sides of the window, we'll make this like a bigger window, okay? The side of the window would be vertical. And then the other side, wherever you want the other side of the window, make that vertical. And then I could erase my leftover orthogonal lines, and now I have a big rectangle on the wall, right? So students, this is how you make a rectangle on the wall in perspective. The sides are vertical, the top and bottom use the vanishing point, okay? Could this be a TV? Could this be a mirror? Could it be a big painting on the wall? It could be anything that's rectangular on the wall. We're calling it a window, right? Okay, now maybe my window has a little frame. So I'll draw the same thing inside, but use the vanishing point when you do the top and bottom part. So I'm making a window frame just like I did here. All right, I'm going to zoom in on this spot for a minute. Clean that up. Okay, now I want to divide this window in half vertically, right? Remember, we want to find the middle. Because it's in perspective using the vanishing point, I cannot just measure this and divide by 2. So what's the trick that we just learned about finding the middle of a rectangle?
X.
The X. So if I go corner to corner this way with my ruler and make a little light erasable line, and then I go corner to corner this way with my ruler and make a light erasable line, that X indicates exactly where the center of that window would be in real life. So at that X, this time I'm gonna make a vertical double line. I'll zoom out a little bit for context. Erase my X, of course, and that accurately divides the window into 2 vertical parts. Now, if I'm looking outside, I could see the horizon line, so I can line back up to where my horizon line would be. Remember this one over here, and then I could reveal it out there. And now it looks like we're looking out of 2 windows simultaneously, seeing the same horizon line where the sky meets the ground. Finally, let's direct our attention to this wall right over here. I'm going to put kind of a hallway, doorway opening right there. Now, isn't a door on a wall or an opening on the wall essentially a rectangle on the wall, like a window? except it's not floating, it's lined up to the floor, right? So what I'll do is I'll come in a little bit, how about right here? And I'm gonna make a vertical line and I'll stop wherever I think the top of the door should live. Maybe right there, see? Now to create the top of the door, I will aim that at the vanishing point and draw back. And in this case, I'm going right off of my paper. If you have lots of room here and you don't want a big gigantic door, you could put another line right here, okay? Now, does this look like you could step into something though, or does it just look like a rectangle on the wall? So we want to make it look like you could step into something. Now here's the thing. When doorways or hallways are open, there's like this, they have thickness to them, right? The archway has thickness. So that thickness here would be facing us directly. So what I'm going to do is off of this corner here, I'll make a little horizontal line and I'm going to make a rectangle. Off of this corner right here, it's a little tight, but you got to make it horizontal, and then I will complete those with a rectangle. So I've added a rectangle off of this line. Now right here might look a little bit fudged, you know what I mean? But hopefully you can make that out, because now what I need to do is put my pencil on this corner of the new rectangle, aim at the vanishing point and draw back, and that's going to create the underside of the door opening. So I have that thickness part here, and I have this thickness on the underside. I could then erase the leftover orthogonal line right here. And now it looks like you could pass into something. But does it look completed? Like, what would I be walking into exactly? It's kind of hard to tell, right? Here's what we have to realize, you guys. Walls pass through into other spaces. So what do I do with that? This wall line right here, this floor line, I'll line up to it right here, skip over and reveal it in the other space. And then you also need to check your ceiling. Mine does not, but I will line up to my ceiling line here. And then if there is anywhere that would be visible, I would want to reveal the ceiling line too. Mine does not, so I'll leave it alone. But just by adding this one little line, it looks like this wall passes through into that space, and now you can like walk into that area. So that concludes this particular lesson. And we'll be moving on to a lesson that builds off of this information in the future.